So, the brand new patch for Ark has been revealed. Patch 258 is coming on May 30th, and it has quite a few things. It may not seem from the outside like a big update, but it really is, because there's some really good things in there, some really good additions and fixes to Ark. So we're going to be talking about all this now in a second. I'm going to explain it all in detail and give my opinions about it. So if at any point in this video you find yourself liking it, be sure to beat the crap out of that like button. It really does help me out. And yeah, let's go. So there are 5 creatures coming in this update, and the first one that we're going to be talking about is the Megatherium. It is a large mammal found on the island, and it's essentially like a giant sloth. It goes after like insects and little kind of creatures like that, like arachnids and everything. Pretty much anything that gives chitin, it should be really good at killing. It is also really hard to knock out. It has some sort of resistance to being like knocked out through like torpor or anything like that, so possibly this might actually be a passive tame if you basically cannot knock it out pretty easily. It is a very slow creature, but it does actually become quite quick in the presence of like insects and arachnids and everything like that, because it just wants to eat them. It sees the food, it wants to run towards the food. This thing is going to be mainly used for collecting chitin, and I know there's already a bunch of creatures out there that collect chitin, but this one's probably going to be the most efficient because it essentially just kind of eats the creature, leaves the shell completely, so you get a bunch of chitin. So this thing may be really good to bring into like caves such as the larger ones. If you can't walk it in, you might be able to breed one and walk the baby in and do those caves. It might possibly be the best creature to collect a bunch of chitin. I know currently the Diplocalus is really good for collecting chitin against the trilobites, and sabers are really good as well. So there's like a lot of really good creatures at collecting it, but I believe this is probably going to be the best. It's not really going to be a creature you're going to be using in PvP, but because it's mainly slow and it's probably not even that powerful. But I've actually seen the model of it. It is tall, it's brooding, it's kind of crazy looking. So yeah, that's the Megatherium. Let me know what you guys think about him. Soon enough I'll have a video showcasing an actual model of one of these. We're going to go through all of that. So yeah, let's move on to the next dino here. So the second creature we're going to be talking about is the Megalania. This is a cave-dwelling creature, and it is probably one of the largest creatures you're going to find inside of a cave, bar the likes of maybe a Megalosaurus as well. It might probably be kind of in around the same size. It is a giant iguanodon-looking lizard thing. It's kind of crazy, and this thing is found in the caves, but it can be on the walls, it can be on the ceiling. This thing can effortlessly walk up walls, ceilings, go upside down probably as well. You can also walk up cliffs once it's tamed. Like, it kind of sounds like a Thyla, but it's probably going to move a little bit slower than a Thyla. It is a very large creature, obviously, so it's not going to be like, you're not going to be snuck up on or anything like some things like an Arthroplura. Sometimes they just sneak right up on you and then suddenly they're there, or a snake or something. So you're probably going to be able to see these guys, but they are going to be able to move anywhere in the cave to try to get to you. So these are actually a very interesting creature because they seem to introduce some new disease, and it is essentially a slow-acting poison that will drain your strength and your health until you die. So this poison will actually kill you. So currently we only have one disease in the game, which is swamp fever. It was introduced last year and they did absolutely nothing with it. They introduced one disease and then they didn't bother with it at all after that. So finally we're getting a second disease. I know that may sound like, oh hey, like great, another thing that we're gonna have to worry about, but it's kind of cool. I actually do quite enjoy the idea of cool diseases that you have to like then cure once you're infected with them. I don't know, it kind of sounds cool to me. So this is the first disease that will actually kill you. It's gonna drain you, but obviously if you come into contact with one of these, I mean, they're actually going to be pretty powerful. So if it doesn't kill you, the poison will likely kill you unless you actually get cured, because these things are probably going to be pretty vicious and pretty powerful as well. So there is actually one little note that I want to just put in here. The ammonite bile, which was introduced a couple of updates ago with the ammonite, was actually supposed to be used as a piece of a recipe to make a new antidote. So possibly the ammonite bile might be needed to actually cure this new disease. That's just a thought of mine here, because I doubt we'll need the swamp fever cure to actually cure this one too, though I guess if Ark gets lazy they might do that. So yeah, that is the Megalania. It is a very cool and interesting creature, and I'm really excited to actually see how it works inside the caving systems. But let me know what you guys think about this one, and we're going to move on to the next one here. So the third creature that is coming is the Hyenadon. These are a pack hunting creature. You're going to be able to find these guys in the mountain areas and the tundras as well, in packs of like 3 to 5, and they are also going to have some sort of pack bonus as well. They are a very, very intelligent creature, and hopefully they are actually like this in the game, because in the dossier here it's very interesting. Essentially, these guys are only going to go after you or creatures if they can kill it. If they know that they can kill the creature, they will go after it, because they do not want to risk their pack. So it all sounds very interesting, but I'm just wondering if Ark's actually going to go into detail with all of this, with what they've written here in the dossier. So these creatures are tameable, but they are not rideable, and you can essentially send them in to finish off creatures, but they will probably not take out like large creatures like a Rex or something like that. They're probably going to be useful for mainly like early game to go out and hunting some meat or something like that. Also hunting players too, because I mean, like 4 or 5 of these all around you, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to survive that pretty easily unless you have really good weapons and armor and everything. So these creatures as well, they have a rapid healing ability once they eat meat, and it says meat off the bones, so perhaps they actually have to eat carcasses to actually heal. I don't know if it's going to just be like if there's meat inside their inventories they heal. I don't know about that, but like possibly the fact that they actually have to go ahead and like harvest bodies to heal themselves. It's just a thought there anyway. These creatures are basically only going to attack creatures that are weak anyway. In the wild, you're probably, if you can probably kill the creature, if you're on a raptor or something like that, these creatures might not even come after you unless you attack them first, of course. And even at that, they might still run, because if they can't kill you, then they're not going to fight you, because they're very intelligent, obviously. So it's going to be fun having little puppies around the place, little tiny hyenas. It could be like the version of like Ark's puppies, because direwolves really are not puppies. These things could possibly be, because I've seen the size of them. They're pretty small. You can't ride them at all. So it's pretty interesting to get another dino that is kind of just another pack hunting dino. Like the Daedon is something that you'd probably bring out with a pack of Hyenodons. So let me know what you think of this one here. It sounds pretty interesting, but I don't know how much use people are going to get out of it. Maybe there's another edge to the whole situation here. Maybe they're going to add in something else to do with it. But for now, I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a cool creature to tame. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this one. So the fourth creature coming in this update is the Hesperornis. It's a platypus. Well, it looks like one. It's a half duck, half dinosaur, and it's kind of like one of those little creatures that they're useful to have around, but you're not really, like, they're gonna just probably be like a dung beetle, where you have a bunch of them and you just use them occasionally to get stuff. These creatures are going to basically be tameable. They are found in like little rivers and lakes around the island, and once they are tamed, they can lay these special eggs that have kind of 2 different properties. They can be turned into either some sort of like protein food substance or something like that. Maybe it could be possibly something to do with like a new version of like the mutton that we got. Maybe it's like a less effective version of mutton, or maybe it's going to be something completely different. Maybe you could actually heal the player or something like that. Maybe actually, you know what? Maybe this new protein substance is going to be something like a tasty cake for a carnivore. I know you can force feed carnivores meat to heal them quick, but maybe this new protein substance is going to be something like that instead. I don't know. Let me know about that one, what you guys think. But also, the eggs can also be turned into oil, which is probably going to be pretty similar to what we get from like the Tuso and the Basilo, where we get like an oil that can spoil. No, that can spoil, that rhymes. So that's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be an easy way to get oil kind of early on in the game, although dung beetles are another way, and you know, there's so many other ways at this point. Oil's really not too much of an issue, but it's kind of interesting that they actually produce oil too. And also, these creatures are not really going to be too much of like a fighting creature at all. I mean, they're probably going to be pretty good for harvesting fish inside of a pond or something like that, but in general, they're not going to move quick. They can move quick in the water, but they're not going to move quick on land at all, because they don't really usually stand on their hind legs at all. But when they do, they are around 2/3 the size of a human character, so that's pretty interesting. They're quite a long creature. But yeah, that is the Hesperornis. A cool egg-laying creature that can be useful for some stuff. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not really too excited for this one, but we'll see. I mean, maybe it might surprise us. So yeah, let's move on to the final creature, which is probably the one that everybody's waiting for. So, probably the creature that you really want to tame first in this update. The Yutyrannus. It is going to be pretty much the size of like a Rex or a Spino. It's going to be just another large carnivore on the island, and this one is very interesting. It has a special roar that can basically scare off smaller creatures and enemy dinos as well. By just roaring, you can send creatures like in the opposite direction. So when you're doing a raid, if you have one of these things, it's going to be very useful to like scare the other enemy's creatures, unless they also have one, because if they have one too, they can roar again, and if both teams are roaring, they kind of negate each other and it becomes useless essentially. So definitely, if you are a large tribe, you need some of these. You need some of these before you get attacked, because if you do get attacked with somebody with one of these, you are going to be screwed unless you kill this thing. So my thoughts about this creature is that it's not going to be as powerful as a Rex or a Spino. Instead, it has a very useful utility on it, but I guarantee it will still be quite powerful, just not as powerful as those two. Not to give it like an extra edge where it's like, oh my god, it's the most OP like large carnivore besides the Giga. You know, they're not going to just overpower the Rex and the Spino by just adding in this guy. So either way, I'm really excited for this thing. It is going to be a very useful creature. And I can't wait to just like scare off all the stupid pegos into the opposite directions and off cliffs and stuff. You know, you guys know how much I hate pegos. So very interesting creature. Really excited to see how it's going to fit into Ark, and how many of them are going to spawn around the island as well. That's something that I'm really excited to hear about. So it's going to be very useful obviously in hunting parties if you're going out, like maybe as well actually in the new tech cave. I wonder if it would work well inside of there. You know what, maybe we'll try that as soon as this update drops. I think we need to actually. Yeah, we definitely will try something like that. So it's essentially going to have like basically a leadership quality above all of your creatures, because it kind of it promotes your creatures. When you roar, it promotes your creatures to do better and attack and everything. And essentially, it's kind of like a battle cry. It's a really cool creature, guys. I'm really excited for it. Like, what do you guys think about it? Also, one thing to note as well is that it actually has a kind of like feathers, and I'll throw up an image on the screen here. Maybe I already have at this point. I just want to mention that this image is like a joke image. Like they made it really fluffy as a joke. You guys need to remember that part. It's not actually going to be that fluffy with all the feathers, but that is the general kind of model of the creature, and it looks really interesting. Very nice colors on it. I can't wait to see it. So yeah, that is all the creatures. Let's move on to the other stuff in this patch. But yeah, definitely let me know what you think about all these creatures right down below. Write down all the names and then give your opinion about each of them. I really want to know what people think about these new creatures, because these are the 5 last creatures that are announced right now. These are the last 5 dossiers that are announced. There are some creatures that are coming, but they haven't been announced officially, and we'll get more into that in a different video for another time. But yeah, let's move on to the rest of the features in this patch. So, a very interesting addition to the update, we are getting a Harpoon Gun. Yes, a Harpoon Gun. This is probably something they should have introduced a long time ago. I really do feel like this is something that we should have had all along almost. Kind of a little bit annoyed they're adding it in now, after most people, like right now, I'm sure a lot of tribes and stuff will probably not get much of a use out of this. Although actually, you know what, they probably will, because not everybody's in tech and not everybody would want to waste the tech. Either way, the Harpoon Gun is most likely going to be mostly for fighting underneath the water. It's going to be kind of like the long neck rifle of the water. Currently, the like tranking stuff in water goes straight from crossbow to nothing. And on the island we have like slingshot, then you have trank arrows and a bow, then you have trank arrows and a crossbow, then you have trank darts, then you have shocking trank darts. There's so many different ways to knock out things on the land, but there's only one way to knock things out in the water, which is crossbows. So I'm thinking with this Harpoon Gun we are going to get normal like harpoons that are going to be used for damaging, and then also I'm thinking that we're going to get some sort of trank harpoon. I'm going to be really annoyed if they don't introduce something like this, because we really do need this type of thing at this point. So a trank harpoon essentially will be a more powerful version. It would probably rival the trank dart on the land, maybe even be a little bit better, because they're probably going to be large, bolts, like large harpoon bolts that are like gonna be pretty heavy and everything. I doubt they're gonna be really light. So a kind of an interesting thing. Another thing that kind of has been in my mind is, are we gonna get like exploding harpoons or something? You know, like in the game Depth, you know, with all the sharks and everything, the sharks versus divers, they have like an exploding harpoon gun, which is really awesome, by the way. Are we gonna get something like that? That would be awesome. I don't know. That would be like the rocket launcher of the water. So we'd have like the tranq darts of the water, the sniper of the water, and the rocket launcher of the water, all from the one harpoon gun. If they added all those different harpoons, I don't know. That's just me getting excited over things I don't even know about. But yeah, that's the harpoon gun. As well, in this update, we are getting 2 new hairstyles. They haven't announced what they are. They didn't say whether they're beard styles as well, so it might just be 2 new hairstyles completely. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. Then, the final edition, which is probably the one that everybody is most excited about, and it may not seem like some massive addition. It's not content, it's optimization. They are going to be optimizing the game finally. They announced before the reason why they are not constantly optimizing it, and the reason for that is that if they were to optimize every single update, if they were to re-optimize the game every single update, they would have to do it over and over and over again. And they wanted to wait till they had all of the content, or at least most of the content in the game, before they optimized it. And in this update we are getting the optimizations, which tells me that we're really close to release on this game. I'm thinking probably like a June or July release on this like game, and that would mean that's not like it's gonna be a different game released. It's gonna just turn from patch 2 blah 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 to version 1.0, and that's going to be the game when it's actually released. So optimization, it's gonna allow people with less powerful computers to actually run the game in good quality. At least maybe you might not be able to run it in epic settings with 60 FPS with a kind of medium tier computer, but with like a really good tier computer, you're probably gonna be able to run this game on 60 FPS if like you have something like a 970 or something. I imagine anyway. I hope so. I mean, optimization with Ark, we haven't experienced anything like that, so I don't know how well it's going to, like how much of a difference it's actually gonna make, but I hope that everybody's gonna have really good frames and everybody can play the game in good quality, because honestly I like to see that, you know, people can actually play the game in a decent quality, and it's really nice to see videos that are good quality too. It's kind of a little bit poopy when you see videos that they have to run settings as low because they just don't have a good computer, and it's not their fault, it's the game's fault because it's not optimized. But with this update we are getting optimization. I'm really excited for that. Yeah, so if you guys stay till the very end here, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know, I'm really excited for all this stuff, and I'm just so happy with the progression of Ark right now. They're introducing a lot of really like good things, and with some of these dinos they kind of seem like, okay, you know, they're one-off dinos, but then there's the thing like the Megalania and the Yutyrannus, which are really cool dinos that I'm really excited to see, and I'm really excited also for the Harpoon Gun. A lot of cool things like that. So anyway, as I said, if you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more like this, you know what to do. You got to subscribe. That's how it works. If you guys want to see any patch videos from the previous patch 257, I have all the stuff probably almost covered on the channel. You guys can check out those videos. I have more videos coming to do with the end of Ark and different things like that, and probably some dev kit videos showing off all these creatures pretty soon here. So make sure that you guys stay tuned for all of that. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.